Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is time and we are back. I am Heather Beverly, and this is the Soul Reciprocity Network's web series, Focus on Faith. I am beyond tonight, and I probably say that each time, but each time I think I get further beyond because this is as epic as Black Music Month is. Let me first just welcome all of you who are joining us tonight and have registered for this webinar. This episode is an homage to Black Music Month, and it's called Our Stories, Our Music, Our Legacy. We are speaking to some iconic people, legends, descendants of legends who are becoming legends, people who are made a whole career in life out of the legacy of our music and the history of our music and educating the next generations up, who have represented some of the biggest stars the industry has ever had. And I couldn't be more proud that they are joining us tonight. Little housekeeping, you know how we do at the beginning of these things. Tell you a little bit about Soul Reciprocity Network. We are a consulting company, a branding company. We support the needs of people in the entertainment industry. From brand development to monetization strategies to educational programming, Soul Reciprocity Network is here to support the growth and expansion of people in our industry. This Focus on Faith web series is a part of the edutainment component of Soul Reciprocity Network. So we are dedicated to making sure that we create environments, situations, content that will not only kind of educate you as to who the who's who are or what you're supposed to know about your career or your aspirations in this industry, but also to provide content that entertains you at the same time, because I mean, that is the business we're in. And there's nothing worse than being at some sort of educational moment and being asleep. So our goal is always to keep you entertained as well. We are pleased to be partnered with two charitable foundations. And this being Black Music Month, I think it's particularly important to highlight who they are and to also support them, because especially when you look at a panel like this that's talking about legacy and people who represent the meat and potatoes of what we do, we've got to support what's to come. We've got to support those who create the content, those who create educational programming for those of us in the industry, and we just need to generally support each other. So we are so blessed to have been partnered throughout this series with the James Brown Family Foundation. And tonight it gets just extra because, of course, our CEO of the James Brown Family Foundation, Deanna Brown Thomas, is joining us, which means, people, if you happen to have been registering and you know, you click, you're just trying to get to the good part, am I in, I'm in, got it, and you missed that big donate button, if you wouldn't mind, I would just greatly appreciate that I don't look super crazy, especially tonight with Miss Dyana, James Brown's daughter, on this panel. If you could please, just what you can. I know it's been COVID, it's been tough for a lot of people, but give what you can, support how you can for the James Brown Family Foundation and our other partner, the Gospel Music Association. Again, they've been with us this inaugural series for Soul Reciprocity Network, and we have been able to contribute to them some very nice donations, and we're grateful for all of you for whatever it is you've been able to do. And like I said, it's Black Music Month. What better time to find an excuse to do so? So let's begin. I have assembled a group of phenoms to discuss the topic of our stories, our music, our legacy. The only place I can begin to introduce is with Miss Deanna Williams. She is an award-winning entertainment powerhouse. She's a broadcaster, a journalist, a TV producer, a reporter, a media coach to the stars, and artist development guru. She is also, listen to me, the mother of Black Music Month, co-founding this honorary month with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Kenny Gamble and legendary broadcaster Ed Wright. She's also been dubbed, Deanna has a lot of nicknames because she wears a lot of hats, but she has been dubbed the hip hop artist whisperer. Look here, her artist development and media training, she has shaped the careers of people like Rihanna, Charlie Wilson, Janelle Monáe, the Zac Brown Band, just to name a few. She's an award-winning producer. She's an exhibition curator. She's an active board member of the most prestigious organizations in the country, including the newly opened National Museum of African American Music. Y'all, Deanna does it all. Now, before I even go on to the next, I want you all to know that on our website, soulreciprocitynetwork.com, you can see full bios, because when I tell you, we would just be here all day with me introducing these illustrious people. Please, if you don't already know, which I hope you do, you should go and take a look at their full bios, because I am amongst royalty. Deanna, thank you so much for joining me and accepting this invitation. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. And the only part that you left out, first of all, I'm blushing. I'm very humbled and grateful. However, you left out the fact that Deanna Brown Thomas is my new relative. Okay.
Y'all didn't tell me the adoption happened right here. Look,
we went on air. Before we went on air, we claimed one another.
Look at God. We're all y'all my new cousins. So just get ready for the invitation to the family reunion.
Exactly, right. There it is.
And you know what? That's where I'm going to go next. Deanna Brown Thomas. We got two Deannas. Spelled differently. Pay attention, people. That's why there's captions. And there's kind of this guy over Miss Brown Thomas's shoulder that you probably recognize. Deanna Brown Thomas is a radio and TV personality, an actress, a philanthropist, and the daughter of the legendary James Brown, Godfather of Soul. Deanna's career in broadcasting included serving as an on-air personality and program director for two stations owned by her father. Come on, ownership. She also worked for major networks like Clear Channel and Radio One. She was formerly the executive vice president of James Brown Enterprises and is currently CEO of the James Brown Family Foundation. Our charitable partner, as I've already told you, go donate. As an entrepreneur, Deanna also owns multiple businesses, and I mean multiple, which means you got to go to the website and see how many. Ladies and gentlemen, my sister, my client, our illustrious panelist, Deanna Brown Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Heather. You're such a wonderful person. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate what you are doing as well. Thank
you. Thank you, honey. Miss Jacky.
One more thing, Heather.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm done.
Love it. Miss Jacky Clark-Chisholm, daughter of the infamous Maddie Moss Clark, three-time Grammy, multi-stellar, NAACP, and Dove Award-winning singer and member of the legendary Clark Sisters.
Woo!
Soul artist, chef, host of Cooking with Aunt Jacky, and author. Honey, legend, superstar, icon, hero. There are not enough grand words to describe my client, my adopted auntie, Miss Clark-Chisholm. Not only is she a voice
Yes.
of our culture, she's a part of one of the most iconic gospel groups in history, but
Yes.
she earned a nursing degree along the way and holds a bachelor's in family life education. Just saying. Jacky's work changes lives. As a wound care specialist, she considers herself a facilitator of healing. Through her music and songs like You Brought the Sunshine and Is My Living in Vain, she and her sisters have inspired and impacted the lives of millions. The Lifetime television biopic depicting she and her sister's life made history. And I hear her cooking will make you want to smack somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jacky Clark-Chisholm.
Royalty, royalty.
I mean,
Royalty, yes.
Royalty, real royalty.
I'm very
grab
happy.
it.
Thank you. You know I love.
Look at that. There you go. That's it, Heather. Royalty.
Thank you, Heather, for those wonderful, kind words. I surely appreciate you and appreciate all that you have done for me and my sisters, and for being our attorney as well. Make sure that we do the right thing and don't get in the wrong stuff. Hallelujah. We thank you.
My honor, my pleasure.
No, that's right.
I'm humbled by the opportunity, and I'm just so grateful you are here. And I'm going to go. This was intentional. I need y'all to know that when I was thinking about what to do for this month, and I was thinking about, you know, all the ways that we've seen Black Music Month represented and celebrated, I just thought about legacy. I couldn't stop thinking about legacy. And it made me think, if I have Miss Jacky, I need to have me some Drew Sheard.
Yeah.
If I can get a lineage on this program together,
Absolutely.
and I am doing the job I am trying to do. So Drew Sheard, welcome, welcome. Grandson of Maddie Moss Clark, son of Karen Clark Sheard, of the legendary Clark sisters, and Bishop Sheard. Congratulations on Bishop's induction. That was just on Tuesday. Congratulations to your whole family. It's beautiful. CEO of KaRew Records, 4-time Grammy nominated producer, solo artist, come on.
Yeah.
Graduate of Marygrove College with a degree in mathematics. Now, let me tell you something. She might have gone to law school. She never would have made it as a mathematics major. I honor you for that, sir.
Thank you so much.
This multi-talented businessman has always had a passion for music. I wonder why. This apple did not fall far from the tree, ladies and gentlemen. He has released 3 solo projects as an artist, executive produced and co-starred in the family reality series, The Sheards, and collaborated with and produced such greats as her mama, Karen Clark Sheard, Kiara Sheard, the Clark sisters. It doesn't stop there. It's not just nepotism people. We've got Faith Evans, Diddy, Lil' Kim, Snoop, and Molly Music. That's just touching the surface of where this man's talents have been spread. As a producer of the Clark sisters album, The Return, Drew spent 11 weeks as Billboard's #1 gospel producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to have my brother, Drew Sheard, on the panel tonight.
So much for having me. I am honored to be here with all these greats. So honored. Thank you for having me.
So good, so good. Ms. Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn Quinn, publicist to the stars and founder of Gwendolyn Quinn Public Relations for over 25 years. Gwendolyn has dominated the industry of marketing and PR. Her firm specializes in developing media strategies and marketing strategies and doing public relations for its clients. She coordinates special events for high-profile clients in the entertainment industry. Her clients span the diaspora of the entertainment industry. She has worked with the best, the brightest lights our industry has ever had. From the queen of it all, Aretha Franklin, to Whitney Houston, the other queen of it all, to Prince, come on, Minneapolis, to Shaka Khan, Queen Latifah, Sean Diddy Combs, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Kirk Franklin, Charles Jenkins of the Clark sisters. That is, again, just a scratch at the surface over the span of 25 years plus. She's also, though, been an executive. She's been a senior executive at Arista Records, Capitol, Mercury Polygram, and even at ASCAP. She's founder of the African American Public Relations Collective and chief content officer for the Global Communicator. Her articles and stories have been featured in Black Enterprise, NBCnews.com, Essence.com, the Huffington Post. Her list of awards and accolades are endless. I've had the distinct honor and privilege of working with you, Gwendolyn, in conjunction with some of our clients, and I adore you and I love you, and you're so supportive all the time. And please, 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 please understand how grateful I am that you're here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Gwendolyn Quinn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Heather, for inviting me. I'm like, I was just in awe of this panel that you put together. Thank you so very much for including me.
Oh,
and I look forward to the future of
yes.
all of our projects that we're going to work on, hopefully. So thank you so much.
So welcome. I wish I could like cue pixie dust or something. And last and not at all, for not 1 second least ever, we have Mr. David Sears, Vice President of Education for the Grammy in the Schools Unit of the Grammy Museum.
Wow.
David, for over 25 years, has worked with the Recording Academy. He has implemented their national education initiatives, Grammy in the Schools, Grammy Camp, unlimited numbers of workshops and educational things, and now is also working with the new, amazing, incredible, it's probably not as new as it still feels to me, but the Grammy Museum, which is everything.
Absolutely.
In addition, though, to working with one of our most illustrious organizations that serves the needs and careers of our music, he's also a songwriter and composer, having worked with artists like the Foo Fighters, the Temptations, the Dave Matthews Band, Yolanda Adams. I can't.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What? Okay. And if that wasn't enough, David also runs Media Solutions by TSC, an event production company, because all the rest of it just doesn't take up enough of his time. David was one of the developers of the acclaimed Grammy Camp and heads many of the Grammy in Schools initiatives and curriculum. Now with the Grammy Museum, the programs and reach of the Recording Academy, because of David's contributions, goes far beyond the award show and impacts the lives and careers of music creators and aspiring music creators of all ages and aptitudes. David Sears, thank you for your years of service. Thank you for being on this panel. It is an honor to have you here, sir.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I am honored and humbled to be amongst royalty this evening.
Again, to all of you. All right, let's get to it. Enough of me talking. They didn't come to see me at all. They came to see y'all. So we're just going to talk about things related to Black Music Month and our stories and our legacy. So let's just start with a really basic question that might seem silly, but you'll see where I go with this, right? What is Black music to you? Like, is it defined by genre or who creates it? Or how is it that you define it? And anyone can start with that question. I would go, doo, 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 doo.
Well, I guess, go ahead, Deanna.
Yeah, we're waiting on Deanna.
I was just
Right.
gonna say, you know, hey, look, I mean, I grew up listening and hearing a lot of wisdom and knowledge, of course. And I remember Dad doing an interview one time, and they asked him about soul music. Same thing.
Same thing.
And he said, you know, where did it come from? How did it start? And he said, survival.
True.
He says, he was talking about himself, but you know, we put in the context of our people. We sing our pains, our struggles, our hurts, our weaknesses, our history, our experiences. We sing it from the soul.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's all I got.
Yes.
I totally agree. I totally agree with Deanna. I think that is the essence of Black music. I think that our hurts, the labors that we have gone through, the things that we've had to endure, even in society today, the environment that we're living in today, we're still, being encompassed by hurts and misuse or mistreatment. But I think you're right. I think the heart is really and truly the soul and the heart of who we are. It speaks to music. I think that is just the true essence of it. And your dad was right. It's very true. But my biggest thing that I really want to say is what you said is when you go back and you look at slavery, how did they overcome the things that they had to overcome? How did we overcome it? You know how they overcame it? They overcame it through the music, through the words, when they made songs, how they made the songs up, what the words said, what the words meant. They talked about their struggles. They talked about their hurts. They talked about their anger. They talked about it all. But it all came from their heart and their soul and what they were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Heather, I would also offer, and that is Jacky, quite inspirational what you and Deanna have shared, and so true, but it's also the articulation. It's the articulation principally of African descendants brought to the shores of this land.
Absolutely.
And it is the articulation of our joy, our sufferings,
Right.
our aspirations, our good times, our sad times. It is the spectrum of human emotion and then some that comes from the very DNA, the genetic material of people of color that look a lot like us on this Zoom. And it is meaningful, and it is a universal language understood by not millions, but billions of human beings through time immemorial.
You know, I've listened to the three answers thus far, and I could not agree more, because we are more than just 2 or 3 or 4 genres.
Exactly.
You know, our impact and what Black music is, of course, the things that we that normally folks think of, you know, gospel, hip hop, R&B, soul music, or you know, even back to the days of the 50s and the 60s when they used to say race music, jazz, of course. But Black music is all of that, but that's not all that it is.
Mm-hmm. And I think you even epitomized that, David, when I was reading who you've collaborated with and who you've worked with. And when you can have a spectrum from Foo Fighters to Temptation, like, come on, Dave Matthews, it shows that what encompasses the music is not just the music, it's also who made the music and what they are made of.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
I love it. So as we talk about what Black music is, I also want to kind of talk about what impact in particular gospel music has had to Black music. And I say that because, you know, the name of this web series is called Focus on Faith. And the reason that we named it that is that, you know, I have worked for the last 10 years with amazing artists in gospel music in particular, and been really pioneering for them integration, acceptance, understanding from the broader music industry. I've always, for 20 plus years, I've represented clients like you all in multiple genres and from multiple areas of the business. But when I see, you know, multiple platinum plaques that come in for one kind of music, but maybe not another, and I feel like there's a lack of understanding sometimes, it frustrates me because I understand the import. I know the impact that gospel music has on my life. But we named the series Focus on Faith so that we could just sort of demonstrate how music itself is universal, regardless of the genre in particular. And so understanding that then gives us all a greater appreciation on how we can integrate and work together amongst whatever we're doing from time to time, and ultimately create an ecosystem, a monetization ecosystem that benefits us all. And so I was just wondering if anyone wants to speak on the impact that gospel music has had on Black music overall.
I think that the greatest impact that we've had is that that's where most singers have got their start, from the church or from gospel artists. Not only from gospel artists, but I think that that's where a lot of people found their own platform and where they would fit in and how they would be able to articulate in their own way, whether it's gospel music or whatever. I think that their humble beginnings all started from what they heard church-wise, because most family members who listen to church music or gospel music, I think that that's what inspired them to want to do what they're doing. And most people say that most Black artists and a lot of artists say that they got their start from listening to gospel music. So I think that it speaks to the soul of who we are. It speaks to the faith that we have and how we were reared and how we articulate in our own way. I know my mom used to tell my sister all the time, you know, anybody can write a nursery rhyme, but if you can write a song that has a message that comes straight from the Bible, this is how we were raised. If you can write a song that comes from the Bible, if you can take a scripture and make a song out of that scripture, then you're writing a song, because now you're giving the melodies of what God has put in you by reading the word. And so that was one of the things. I remember one time I wrote something and she said, well, they don't have no scripture in it. You need to go back to the Bible because that ain't nothing right there. So
That ain't a song yet.
That ain't not, anybody could have wrote that. I could sit down and funk it up. How about that? So,
So J. Drew, when you are working in the studio on a Clark Sisters album and then you bring in Snoop Dogg, what we doing?
Hey.
Yeah, well, first, let me say that I just have to say this real quick. This is a learning experience. I am just happy I love to just sit in a room like this and soak up all the information. So please forgive me if you think I was being a little quiet over here, but I was just sitting here and listening to all you legends, talk about it. But yeah, in terms of, the whole idea of, gospel and to the Black community, or just to the music community as a whole, I would say that, the whole idea of being like, I agree with everybody was saying, the whole idea of being able to write songs that's given to you, by God. I just think that it's a certain sound that comes from church that we all just get so inspired by, and then to also know that everybody's singing about Jesus Christ, of course, you know, obviously the man we serve in gospel music. And I think that's the universal part of it, you know, being able to be inspired by the same God and also affect or have influence on different genres or what have you. The whole idea of, you know, even hip hop, like even collaborating, bringing a Snoop Dogg with the Clark sisters, like Snoop Dogg constantly, you know, tell the sisters how, you know, his grandma was raising him, obviously raised him in the church. And, you know, he's been a big fan of the Clark sisters. And then the whole idea of, you know, him saying, you know, I want to collaborate with the Clark sisters. And it goes to show, like what I was just saying earlier, is that, you know, all of us are inspired by the man above. So it'll pull people from different genres and allow us to collaborate, you know, with, in Black music, you know. So I think that, you know, gospel is, I come from gospel, you know, obviously my grandma, my aunties, my mom, you know, it's just, it just don't get no better. It just don't get no better than coming from gospel music and the whole impact of, you know, gospel music as a whole in Black music.
Heather, I feel like gospel music feeds our soul. Absolutely. Just like Miss Jacky said, I mean, most artists started in the church, you know. I know my daddy used to go to the House of Prayer here in Augusta, Georgia, when he was a young boy. So they had number brass up in there, but they love some brass, they love some horns, you know, and that stuck with him as a young child. And got him going in that music. He used to go to that House of Prayer so he could get it. So it feeds our soul. I mean, when I'm up in the morning and doing my meditation and praying, I'm listening to gospel. I don't listen to Jane Brown at first. I'm trying to get blessed and highly favored. I can feel good later, but I'm not trying to get blessed and highly favored first. You know, I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. I want to make a statement here because there's a saying that, and we always look at our music is joyful, and so we're thinking about being victorious at whatever it is we do. And there's a saying that defeat has a look, but victory has a sound. And as J. Drew said, it's the sound that captivates and that touches the heart of man, that touches the heart and the soul of who we are, and allows us to be able to articulate what we're feeling in that moment. How so many beautiful songs, be it R&B, be it all genres of music, let me say it that way, be it any genre of music, there's a victorious thing that comes out of it. Because when you're done with it, you listen back at it and you say to yourself, I did good. I sound good. Oh, that was good. And so that's how I look at it. And I want to bring up one point about J. Drew. He was so humble working with us. We beat him down too. A little hazing. He's such a sweetheart. And he allowed, like he put us in the studio. I have never been in the studio in all the years that we've recorded, never been in the studio with somebody and they say, I'm gonna let y'all write the song. And he just let us write the song. And that's exactly how some of the songs came about when we were in the studio. And this man this young guy is so talented. And you didn't say this, Heather. The child plays all the instruments. I was sitting in church. I already knew he could play the drums, right? Sitting in church, he plays the drums. The next time we come back to church, maybe a few months later, he comes in and he's sitting on the piano. Then I come back, he playing the bass. Then we come back, he's playing the organ. I'm not trying to tell you, he can do it all. I'm so proud of you, boy.
I love it.
I appreciate it.
I love it. When I was thinking about this question, you were the main person who came to mind in terms of who you've worked with, and you're the storyteller, right? You're giving them the narrative. You're putting out the stories and announcing the moments. And when you have someone like Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston in particular, who have some of the strongest gospel roots that there are, but most of their acclaim comes from their music in other genres. How did you weave those narratives and present that to people so they could understand?
Well, I don't really think that I had to weave narratives. I think people with Aretha Franklin for sure and Whitney, they knew that they were from the church. So Aretha never separated that. You know, she wasn't one of those artists that, unfortunately, at that time, I mean, she was able to, you know, do gospel and then go straight to a major label and do, you know, popular music. And then when she went over to Atlantic, she did R&B. And then when she went back to Clive, she did both. So she just, everyone knew she came from the church. She carried that with her. She closed every show with gospel music. And similarly with Whitney. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I think when you stand in your truth, like they both have stood in their truth about their music and where they came from, they never hid at the church. They always wanted people to know. And they always had the church in their heart. So it just came out in their music and their productions and just how they carried themselves.
So you were just able to just tell the truth, really.
It's tell the truth. I mean, it was basically the truth was already told before I even got there. You know, I don't take any credit for that, but you know, and funny enough, people never question that. Like sometimes they do with certain artists today about being in a certain genre or going from gospel to a, you know, yeah. And I think the secret for both Aretha and Whitney is that they were never signed to a gospel label.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly with BB and CC.
Mm-hmm.
When they started, they was at a mainstream label, so they didn't have that burden of being at a gospel label and crossing over. Because of this country, they really categorize you and put you in a genre. It's hard, it's difficult for you to, you know, do gospel and then 5 years later you want to do country music. It's just, it's not a smooth transition. So
That
I
is,
think,
yeah.
right, I think for Aretha and someone like Whitney, they started at a major label and it was easier for them.
Mm,
We were never questioned about that.
I think that answers it brilliantly. And so I want to go to this month, right?
Mhm.
Black Music Month, uh, formerly, really, technically Black Music Month, and Barack Obama made it African American Music
Mm.
Appreciation.
Honor Us All Appreciation, and then there's a lot of words. I love me some. I love you, Barack. We're gonna call it Black Music Month.
It is what
Deanna
it
Amen,
calls it Black
sister.
Music
It is what we call it,
Month. Deanna's
right?
here, but I love you, Barack. Thank you, Barack. Okay,
Month.
y'all know.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about what it is, why it's important. I'm going to ask a question though. Jay Drew, you have a hard stop for me? Sure.
No, I'm good. I'm pretty
You're
good.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure because I have a question for you in this segment. So
Yeah, I'm gonna stick around.
just like give me a
Uh-huh.
That other
poke
stuff
yourself.
can wait
Okay.
when I'm on the panel with these legends. I can stick around.
And, you know, I know you're on demand now. I know it's busy. I'm not trying to get in nobody's way.
No, you're good.
For as long as I can have you. All right. Black Music Month. What is it? Why is it important? Now, I told you at the top of this thing that Miss Deanna and two of her colleagues, one, her ex-husband, created, founded, pioneered are the reason we have this month to celebrate, which again,
Yes.
I can't that she's here. Like I can't. I was like, I will put it on whatever day you are available. I like you tell me we rescheduling this whole situation. You got museums to open and all these things. You tell me, girl, I'll do it in October and call that Black Music Month. Anyway,
Hey,
Every day, but
for you on this question of what is this thing and why is it important? What inspired you to believe that this was such an important thing that we needed to honor it on a national level? How did this start for you?
well, Heather, this started June 7th, 1979, officially declared June Black Music Month by President Jimmy Carter. He and his wife, Rosalind, and their daughter, Amy, hosted a wonderful event for the Black Music Association, which was founded by my ex, Kenny Gamble, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, multiple Grammy Award winner, and just my dear, dear friend. We have 3 adult children and a handsome, smart, very quick with it, 6.5-year-old grandson. So the idea of Black Music Month came to Gamble after a visit to Music City, Nashville, where he observed the strength and the organization of the Country Music Association and how they branded a region for country music specifically. And we all know on this call, David, correct? You know this, Jacky, and I know Gwen is aware of this, and Deanna, you too, and Jay. This music, it originated, country music originated with Black folks. And somehow in the narrative, Black people got nixed out of it. But the reality is, what is country music? And you know, we have two producers and musicians that could define it better than I can, but it is the combination of gospel and blues. And, you know, it's this gumbo of sounds that originated with Black folks. And then of course, country music, the way white folks do it, is one thing. But what I'm real excited about, Heather, and I will get to the answer to your question, is the new movement of Black country artists, Mickey Guyton, Rissy Palmer, Willie Jones, just a plethora of artists. One of my clients, Brittany Spencer, very proud of this new renaissance of attention on Black country artists. But June 7th, 1979, Kenny Gamble, Ed Wright, and myself, I was in the BMA, but later I got legislation that would ensure that every American president, from President Clinton, because I wrote Clinton in the late 90s, and I said, can you host a reception, much like Jimmy Carter did for the Black Music Association? And the White House said, we know that president, we see in the archives, but oops, President Carter did not sign a proclamation. He declared it and said June is Black Music Month. 42 years ago, I'm talking about a lot of Black folks, record companies, various music companies, and just generic corporate companies in many cases, are now having Black Music Month campaigns. I have Comcast, I'm in Philadelphia. I turned my TV on the other day and it said, June is Black Music Month. And it gives Gamble and I, we are two of the co-founders, a great sense of pride. And what is Black Music Month? It is an opportunity for us to put a highlight on everybody who is on this call, because happy Black Music Month. We have all been involved in the perpetuation and the preservation of all kind of cultures, Black genres. And Jay Drew, you've been doing it. Obviously, Jacky, come on. As Heather said in the introduction, your family is period royalty, not just in gospel music. You are regarded by artists in other genres. And David, the work that you've done, I remember when you invited me to speak at the Grammy camp, David does not get the recognition and the love that he deserves. He is probably the only Black man that has been in the Grammy organization. I'm a past president of the Philadelphia chapter, and I am a 20+ year member of the Recording Academy, formerly known as NARAS. David has been there. He has seen them come, go, but he has been steadfast in the preservation of our culture, especially with young people. And I salute you for that. Happy Black Music Month, David Sears.
Thank you.
You know, I was really overjoyed when you invited me to the camp and previously. And Jay, what you're doing, I have chill bumps when Heather was introducing you, because it's a multi-generational thing that you are doing with your aunts and your mama and your family and with other artists and blending genres, which is what we do. You are a music alchemist. And Deanna, I already told you before we got on, chill bumps. Not only are we sisters in name, but James Brown is the indisputable, one of the most influential artists of humankind in any genre. Stop me if I am wrong, Gwendolyn. James Brown, his physical being transitioned, but his spirit, his influences on so many other artists. I mean, look at when we saw Michael Jackson, what did we see? We saw his homage to Deanna's father. Yeah, James Brown. And like you said, Deanna, he came from gospel. That was where his roots were. So what is Black Music Month, Heather? It is an opportunity for you as an attorney and a community give back and a conscious Black woman, royalty as well. Okay, let's get it straight with that last name. Hello. So we, you know, and Gwen promoting this music. When I first met Gwen, she was working with Queen Latifah years ago, before Latifah blew up to the superstar plus A-lister that she is. And so Black music is a chance to celebrate even anyone watching us tonight, the consumer, the songwriter, the attorney, the singer, the executive for the foundation, the producers, the musicians.
Yeah.
Black Music Month is this concentrated period of time, but it's an opportunity for us moving forward. Every single day, Black music is a part of our lives, and that's a fact. So it's streaming the music, it's buying the music, it's buying the merch, it's supporting the live performances, it's writing a check to the Grammy Foundation to support the work that David has been doing. It's becoming a member of the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville, in downtown Nashville, supporting every genre of music. When you go, you will be so inspired and lifted to see us and all our grandeur, from Ma Rainey straight on up to Future.
Yeah.
Okay. Queen. That's what you will see in our National Museum. Write a check, become a member, take your family, take your grandmother, take your children. So read to your children. I have a section in my living room of music books for my grandson that I read to him on the regular. And I play his grandfather's music. Kenny Gamble is my ex, one of the architects of the sound of Philadelphia.
That's right.
My grandson
Yes.
is material. Sit with your elders, find out what's the music that they listen to and they love. Share with them what you like, and let's listen to our young folks. Let us not dismiss hip hop and rap. It is 50 years in 2 years, the celebration of 50 years of hip hop. It's the #1 selling genre around this planet. And that means Australia, New Zealand, all of Africa, Europe, Asia. What? Black music is supreme. My apologies.
That explains it.
Carrie,
Oh man, if my little Zoom camera could run around my house with me right now, I would be. And I was raised Irish Catholic. We didn't even run around. I would be running around this place. Do you understand it? Thank you.
It is a cultural asset and an economic engine as well. It is truly one of America's greatest exports, among other things.
And that's what I love about I have read so many articles where you have talked about what Black Music Month is, what inspired you. And let me explain to you, Deanna, it was a Billboard article, I think in 2015, where you talked about the fact that what was so important about it was that it recognizes the global contributions of Black music, both creatively and economically. Girl,
But let me just say this, and she of course didn't mention it, and she probably won't mention it, is that she wrote the bill. She helped wrote the bill for Black music. Now that's okay. She helped wrote the bill.
I was gonna mention that. I'm like, you was writing law, man.
And maybe you could put that up on your site as well. You know, Heather. The bill that she wrote.
Great job with the global communicator. I have called her, I've texted her. You know, I can't say it enough, and I get a chance to say it publicly. If you've not seen the global communicator, celebrating its first anniversary, year anniversary. Then has used her insight, her commitment to culture to share the stories of people making a difference and things that are pertinent to our culture. And what she has done with the recognition of June Black Music Month is incredible. And I told her as much. And so if people haven't seen it, please go to her IG and its global communicator, or to Gwendolyn Quinn, and see what she is doing to spotlight the contributions of people past, this generation of music makers and people, and she supports what's coming next. So I salute you, Gwendolyn Quinn, for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I salute you, Deanna. Thank you.
And it goes right into where I was going next, which is how do we keep our music alive in a digitized, ADD, social media, 30-second clip generation? And you know what Gwen is doing with the Global Communicator is exactly that, because I didn't even know until she and I were on the phone the other day scrolling through her IG. I was looking for graphic designer and content creators, and she was like, well, look at some of the things I've done. And she was trying to highlight her graphic artist. And I'm like, these articles, historic, she's given us the history, her entire dedication to Black Music Month. Please, everyone, check out Gwen Quinn's IG, and we'll make sure that we share. I think your socials are on our site already, but we'll make sure that we share them, because the articles you've written and the way that you summarized people who are important, moments that are important, topics that are important in our entire history of music is, I didn't even know. I felt so out of the loop. I felt like you left me out, Quinn.
Oh, no. And
that?
to the James Brown Family Foundation, they're doing great work, not
Yes.
just in Augusta, but
Absolutely.
around the country. So there's so many different ways that we can support Black Music Month and Black music every single day.
Absolutely.
I tell people that all the time. And it's not just for Black folks. It's for anybody who has ever consumed Black music. And I think you can say that's a lot of folks. When you go to your dentist, get in the elevator, when you are in your car, when you are watching TV and they're selling you soap and cars, and they're using Black music to drive even Madison Avenue. So Black music is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So David, how is it that you and the work you've done, I know how it is, but I want you to share with people how it is that these programs and things, especially with the Recording Academy, where people think it's just an award show. And I've served on the board in Chicago for 8 years and have been a member forever. But how is it that the work that you've been doing all these years and supporting and creating those initiatives, how do you suppose those are contributing to keeping our music legacies alive?
Well, I think one of the things that we're doing with our programs is we are stressing that for students to understand where the music came from, and there's not a quote unquote genre of music that isn't in somehow touched by Black people and Black music. And a friend of mine told me, a professor at University of Southern California, he says, you know what we do here in America is we latch on to the latest genre of music, and then we kind of forget about the other genres. In Europe and in Asia, it's very different. And I mean, you mentioned earlier that I was with the Temptations 100 years ago. And I was with them on their European tour that they did. And in America, they were, I mean, everyone still knew who they were, but they weren't as hot as they were in the late 60s. I was with them in the 70s. And when we went to Europe, everybody knew who they were. They were, I mean, it was pandemonium. And so I think one of the things that we try to do is address the fact you don't have to throw away a particular genre just because you like what's happening now. You know, let's embrace all of it, and let's understand that, you know, if think about what music would be like if there was no Black music or Black influenced music.
That sounds
Ooh,
pretty.
I can't imagine.
That just doesn't sound right. That just sounds pretty dull.
There's that.
Quite boring, quite boring.
Yes,
Right there.
exactly. I mean, look, it wasn't called early on soul music for nothing. You know, that's where it comes from. And, you know, there would be no rock and roll. You know, there would be no current country music. There would, and you can just go on and on and on and on and on. So those are the things we do. If, you know, when a youngster comes to Grammy camp, we want to do more. We always say it's a music industry camp in the first place. You're not here just to become a better guitar player. You're here to first make your parents feel a little better about the fact that you've decided to go into the music business by developing a plan by which gives you the best chance of being successful. Well, part of that plan means understanding the music and not only understanding the business, but understanding the music and the history of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And David, I agree with that, but I also think that we need more African-American scholars.
That's true.
Because we have people who telling our story who really
Don't know it.
should not probably be telling our story like we can, you know. And
Keep it amongst family.
we definitely No, we definitely need scholars, and we definitely need to focus more like on opera music, classical music. We need to focus
Thank
on
you.
blues music. I mean, we are so distant from blues music. It is amazing to me. It all
Exactly.
started with Thomas Dorsey started as a blues artist, you
Hmm.
know, and then he moved to Chicago and started at the Pilgrim Church. I mean, we're not telling the whole story. We're just so far away from telling the whole story,
Well, there
you
we
know.
go. I mean, I still say whenever I get a chance to speak to educators who are teaching history, that we teach history backwards. In my view, we should start from now
Hmm.
Right.
and work back, rather than starting from a period where students can't connect with it. I mean, even with music history, when I had music history, I started with Gregorian chants, and I was not connecting with that at all. But if I go from now and then go back, and not only to Gregorian chants, but to the things that were happening in other continents, in Asia and in Africa, then there's more of a connection, because I can start with what I connect with now and see how it all is integrated together. But you're right. It's going to take an effort on everybody's part to first recognize that I'm not going to say that it's not that different, but that we're all in this boat together.
Right.
And and I subscribe to what Duke Ellington said. There's only two kinds of music: good music and bad music.
Right.
Hey,
Do.
Drew, you, in producing hits and playing an executive role at the same daggone time, you are really epitomizing kind of the multitasking that we in this generation have to do. Um, what do you feel is your responsibility in continuing not only the legacy in your own family, but just perpetuating what it is that we do in this industry in the music?
Well, I will say this. I wholeheartedly agree with what Miss Gwen and David was saying about, becoming a student. That's one of the most important things to me, because I know I'm actually the baby of the Clark family. I am the very last
He
of
is.
the Clark family.
You're here.
Right,
I
right.
can let you off the hook, J. Drew.
Right. So I'm sure nobody expected me to, executive produce a Clark Sisters album. Some people even had doubts as to, well, he might make them sound too young, or he may, or what have you. But what I always share with like my peers and my colleagues that's up and coming, or, with the new generation or what have you, always express to them that you got to become a student of the artist and a student of the sound. And that's
exactly
something I do. And I go as deep as, like, I will literally sit and just ask Auntie Twinkie a bunch of just 20 million questions, like, who plays strings on this record? Like, I am a Google crazy person. Like, I will Google everything and I'll do my research. It's crazy that I have Miss Deanna here, Miss Deanna Brown, because I was literally just watching a whole bunch of James Brown interviews with my kids. I now have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, and my 11-year-old is crazy about James Brown. So it's like, it's just great. And I teach my peers and my family to, in order for you to be able to execute and become great, you really got to dig deep into it. And I'm a fan of Motown. We were sitting just last night when we were all in Memphis for my dad's inauguration. Me, Aunt Dorinda, and Aunt Jacky. You left us. You didn't. Aunt Jacky was ready to go to bed, but me, my mom, and Aunt Dorinda, we just sat up and we were just talking about the history of, like, we were talking about the Elvis Presley, and I was even giving them like stuff, telling them history that they didn't even know. They're like, what? Yeah. And we actually had a conversation about James Brown and about him having his own private jet. They said, y'all ain't know. I said, yes, I really researched this stuff, and I get chills even talking about it, because I'm like, I just wanted to be so close to whatever it was that they were doing that inspired them to create the sound that they had, So I really believe in being a student. I actually want to have a side conversation with you, Mr. Davis, so I can see if I can become one of those students at the Grammy classes.
Well, we could teach each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. That's what it's about.
I
Yeah.
think it's important. I think that it was really important though for J. Drew. It was, I guess just being a product of our family, and it seems to have paired off on each one of the family members in a different way. But more so with J. Drew, he was very humble and very, just really eager to learn whatever he could learn. He would ask questions, and you just sit among what we were doing. And it was so impressive on us to see how eager he was to, I really didn't think that he would want to do it the way he has progressed and blossomed into such a producer that he is. But I'm so godly proud of him because he showed how being humble will help open doors for you when you're not. And a lot of times people don't have that humility aspect about them to want to learn. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll think that they know everything. David, you know how they are. Sometimes they'll feel like, oh, I know that. I know. And it's really interesting because when I look at church music today, like a lot of times when you listen to people playing for church, they can't play anthems and hymns. They can't. We start singing a hymn in church, or we start singing an old song in church. They can't even play it. They don't even know what it is. And my mother was crazy about that. But that's one of the things about J. Drew that was so impressive with us, to see how he pushed himself to learn how to play all the instruments, how he did that. And then for him to want to sit down with us and want to work with us, that's the cream of the crop. What you talking about?
Wow.
Go ahead, J. Drew. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, just to kind of piggyback, I think it is also important that our elders as well pour back into the young generation, which is why I love this panel, because that's what everyone is here doing. And even working with the sisters, they would sit there and answer all my 50 million questions, even when they didn't feel like it, or feel right. It would just be like, yeah, such as, and I would just sit there and soak all that in. So I think that the key to us younger generation becoming great is us being humble enough, as Aunt Jacky stated, to be able to sit and listen, and for our elders to be able to pour into us. So we'll be able to, mold into greatness, such as the people before us did.
And you, yes.
And and Heather, that's what I was going to say. J. Drew has an opportunity to be around such a great musical empire. A lot of young people don't have that opportunity. And I'm hoping that one day we could have something similar to like the 1619 project, where we can build a whole curriculum around music education, because there's just so much that young people are not, particularly young Black people.
Yeah.
Their families do not have enough money to send them to the top music schools like Berkeley, Juilliard, the Manhattan School of Music, Yale. And we all know that in the public school system specifically, that they don't have music programs anymore.
No, they don't.
So it's like it's almost like I feel like we're losing a generation or two to have that kind of education. So that's, to me, I think something that I would like to see happen. That how do we really offer this to our community, to everybody?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and in terms of, you're exactly right in terms of the large urban school districts. Now, the truth is, most large urban school districts do have quote unquote music education, but then when you delve down into what is actually being taught,
curriculum is not on point, right?
The curriculum is not on point, and the educators are usually young people fresh out of college. And what did the colleges teach them about being a teacher?
Right.
And so they're kind of behind the 8 ball as well. So we really need to address that. I know when I'm in conversation with organizations that are dealing primarily with universities and colleges, I say, there's more to teaching music than putting a marching band on the field that looks like in the movie Drumline.
Right.
There's more. It's not that you should not do that, but there's a lot more to it. And you need to know, where all this stuff came from, and understand that, and teach those who are learning to be teachers how to teach that. It's
Mhm.
and so
very true.
that's one of my passions, as you could tell.
Right.
That's very
And
true.
that is why I started the James Brown Academy of
Well,
Music.
come on, that's where I was going
There you
now.
go.
Yeah.
Celebrating our 10th year this year.
Talk about
We
it.
have had students, thank you, Jay. We have had students to graduate from high school and college and come back and work with the younger kids, which just drives my heart to pieces. Because,
Absolutely.
you know, young kids, when they finish a program, they done. No, these kids have come back so they can work with the younger ones. I mean, my dad used to say, you put an instrument in a child's hand, you will change that child's life. And I have seen that happen through JAMP. That's what we call the James Brown Academy of Music Pupils, JAMP. I have seen that happen. I've seen grades get better. I've seen behavior get better. I have seen children, I've seen parents didn't realize what was in their children. You know, a little time, a little energy, you know, invested into these kids. It's amazing. I mean, I've had kids in my program that never flew anywhere. In 2012, they never flew a plane. 2012, we took them to Chicago. They got a chance to open up for Prince at the United Center, and they had a chance. A couple of them had a chance to get on stage and dance with him. But the highlight was the fact that they was on a plane. They had never been on one before.
Right. I hear
I
you.
mean, the other stuff was just more cherries and cream. But the idea was like, I've never rode on a plane before, Miss Deanna. I said, well, don't you worry about it. It's a great experience. And this ain't the first time you're gonna do it. We're gonna be doing it some more. And we have. They got a chance to open up for Tom Joyner family reunion. I mean, they've just had great opportunities. And what I realize is that, you know, if you give the child the opportunity, what Daddy say? I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door, get it myself.
There
I
you
take it myself.
That's
Let
right.
it in them and open up the door. Oh my gosh, I've seen so much talent through these children. You know, it's really just what my dad said. And that's what I think is going to drive our music, because we got to teach them what was. Because if we don't teach them what was, they won't understand what is and how what is got to what it was.
Exactly.
My dad is the most, still to this day, the most sampled artist. The most sampled artist.
That's right.
We're talking about a man who had 7th grade education and had to pick cotton. He didn't get a chance to go study how to read music.
Nah.
But it was important to him that other kids do that. He talked about that all the time. He said, everybody ain't gonna get a break and get a deal playing ball somewhere.
Right.
Everybody's not gonna get that opportunity.
That's right.
But music education is gonna take you so far because it's gonna help you with your academics. It's documented. Music is gonna help you with science and math and reading. And like I said, I've seen it happen with our students. I really have. I mean, now we started back June 1st for our summer session. And I had a couple of my older ones, my alumni, they coming in every day, helping and working with the young kids and helping us out. And so they get to, the young ones get to see the older ones. And you know how it is with kids. Oh, I want to do what they do. Oh, I want to do that. It's monkeys. So cool. My thing is this. We're going to show you something positive. We're going to show you something that's going to help you in life. Okay? Yeah. Because, hey, if you can see a peer do something wrong and follow it, you can see a peer do something right and follow it. And that's what I've been trying to put into these kids, is that maybe music can take you anywhere that you want to go, and it will change your life.
It will.
And it shows that you are doing the right thing at that school.
Absolutely.
They're coming back. It shows that you are doing the right thing. And what's happening is you're giving kids real self-esteem. And I emphasize on the word real because, you know, I remember the self-esteem movement of the early 70s, which did a lot of harm, particularly in communities of color, where teachers would come in and just say, you're good, this is wonderful, you're wonderful, and they hadn't accomplished anything.
Everybody.
That's true.
Yeah, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's in first place. Well, when these young, when they're on this trip on that airplane with you, they're on that airplane because they have accomplished something musically
Something. That's
real.
right.
And whether they go into the music business or not, or whether they become a musician or not, they know they've accomplished that. So you say, well, if I accomplish this, then maybe I can become an electrician and be successful. Maybe I can become a lawyer. Maybe I can become, fill in the blank. All of that can happen as a result of a good quality music education.
Mm-hmm. And so while we're talking about all of these important components that from a creative perspective, from an educational perspective, professional perspective, keep the legacy alive, Ms. Jacky, I had a question for you, but I also see we have an audience member, Ms. Caitlin Ashton Gardner, who has a question for you, and ours are sort of similar. When you've created legacy and you are a legend and you have already made so many contributions, my question was, creatively, what's next? Caitlin's question was, have you considered branching out in your solo career in other genres outside of gospel, like collabs, like with Anita Baker or someone who she thinks would be the chef's kiss? Now, I was a part, thank God, of you putting together that duet you did with Mary J. Blige, which is like, what are we even talking about?
Right.
Iconic collaboration.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
what do you think of that? Like, how are you still inspired, and what are you doing creatively to continue, girl, just making history?
I think I think the most important thing to me is what David said. It's a part of who we are. Um, I'm happy when we're making music. I'm happy when we're singing. I can be depressed and I can put on something and it'll take me right out of it. I think that because we say music touches the heart of who we are, I look at my background, and I've always felt like, like I was just good at just doing background. I was happy with just, and I always felt insecure about singing lead. I really felt insecure about that. I really didn't think that I could even do it until I started working with Tone, and he kind of helped me find my little niche of, oh yeah, you could do this. I never thought I could do it, but by the grace of God, it was one person who had walked through and just kind of encouraged me. And when he encouraged me, I said, well, so maybe I can do it. And that's how I kind of really felt more like I could do it. I'm really, my heart is just broke though, about how we look at these young people today and where the music education has fallen away from the school. If we didn't have Deanna to nurture the kids that she's nurturing right now, where would those kids be? Some of these kids have gone into death's row because of they have not met their niche of what they're good at. And right. Because music was not introduced, it doesn't have to just be music. It can be any aspect of the arts. But we have to learn how to encourage them, help them to find their way. We need more schools like Deanna. My mom had a school that where we taught music theory and music, all the instruments. And then when my mom passed away, we kind of lost it because we couldn't keep doing what we was trying to do as the Clark sisters and then keep the school going. So it was really hard for us. But I applaud Deanna because that's what they need. And even with my daughter went to Berkeley. My daughter she was a classical, she went there to sing classical. And when she went, she kind of peered away from it. When you come from a gospel family, it's very hard to stay in classical when your family do gospel. And I really am, I'm overjoyed, but yet broken because I feel like we're not doing enough for the young people today to help them. But with J. Drew, I want you to realize you can help so many people because of your steadfastness to stick with it and to try to learn as much as you possibly can. And that's really, really important, is that you have to be able to have the ability to want to learn, take criticism, Don't take it the wrong way. And now know that we want you to know as much as we can give.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Aunt Jackie. Jay, you're in a prime position.
He is.
You're in prime position, sweetheart, to help the younger crew. Because see, a lot of times they get a little funny when they listen to us older folks. You know what I mean? You know, so and you got the bridge, baby. You the bridge. You got old school and you young.
Yeah.
So you in prime position to start the Clark family School of the Arts in Detroit.
Uh-oh, look out now.
Daddy.
That just happened? Did that just happen?
Right. It's crazy that you
Yes.
And this is so encouraging because this facility that I'm in right now, I'm at the KaRew headquarters, is what I call it. And what we do here is it's about 3,000 square feet. And here we have a studio, film editing room. I have desk. I have a lounging areas where people want to sit and read books on music, the music business. Then I have like desk for like the marketing team, the publicity team, and the data analytics. I gotta have that because I'm a math guy. But what we do here is that we just have a facility to where younger people can just come here and learn. And of course, it would be a blessing to have you all come in and speak to the people. But that's pretty much how I'm building KaRew. So it's crazy that y'all said it. I was getting chills while y'all was talking about it. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to build here. And I just purchased the building last October. And we just recently moved in like maybe a month or two ago. So thank you so much. But that's crazy that y'all said that, and it's so encouraging. And I just had to sneak that in there because that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So the more I educate myself, the more I'll be able to, do the same for the people that's under me. So thank you all so much for that encouragement.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations, Jay Drew.
I know you're proud of him. My goodness. But this is exactly what we're talking about. And because you are a bridge, as Deanna was saying, you have a great opportunity because you understand, like we said, you were born to the manor, you were born to royalty. And as I said, one of the most influential groups of all time, your family, your blood. And so here you are, next generation, continuing, you're doing legacy preservation, building, and you're in the same time, you are creating of now. You are of this generation. You are still of now. So you
know you needed your box of tissue.
And you know what, Jay Drew, your mother is your personal PR person.
Right.
Let me just tell you. Okay. I about in the conversation with her more than 3 minutes. She started talking about you. And Jay Drew is doing this. Yeah, she's a huge PR person for you, your mom. Karen Clark-Chisholm.
We're talking about this intersection generationally and genre-wise. I'm still going to come back to you, Ms. Jacky, because there's another question in this whole collaboration space and other genre space. We have Talani Gaines asked you, who are your favorite artists from other and different genres? And if so, can you name them? Well, before you answer that, for all of you in our last 10 minutes or so, I want to transition to what I know a lot of people want to hear, which are stories, right? Just kind of stories that talk about the essence of what we're celebrating this month, our journey, our lessons, our inspiration, our heartaches, whatever, but the journey of Black music, your careers within it. But Miss Jacky, who are some of your favorite artists of different genres? And you need to talk about being in the studio with Mary J. Come on. Just
I think, well, some of my favorite artists, number one, we used to listen to James Brown like you would not believe. So, and we had to sneak and do it. We couldn't do it when if my mom came home and we had, she would call it rock and roll. If she came home and we got in trouble. So you start with, we got to start from the roots of where we first start. The Temptations, the Supremes, and then when you come forward a little more, you look at Rihanna, you look at, her, you look at, all these, they're so inspirational in their own genre of music. and we have to learn to support them where they are. The other young lady, oh God, I can't remember her name. Oh Jesus, I can't remember. But all of the like with her, another person who I really like. I like Pink. I love her. I love what she does. I think, and we have to really learn how to love other music. And my mother would tell us, don't just listen to yourself.
Yeah.
You ain't the best. God didn't make you that great. Listen to other people's music too. Because we would tell people when they would come, we were doing the conference, and they would come and want to audition, they would sing their own song. And we would tell them, it's wonderful to sing your own song. But if you're known for singing the song that Mary J. Blige sang, and that's what everybody know you for, don't come to the conference and sing your own song. We ain't never heard it. We don't know where it's going. We don't know if the words is right, if no words make sense. But we encourage them to do what they do. But always remember to come from your heart and do what you think is going to make you shine and look good. So my whole thought process with that is, I listen to everybody. I love jazz. I absolutely love jazz. I love Brian Culbertson. I love Najee. I mean, I can just go on and on. People that I really like to listen to. And if we listen to those other things, that's how you become inspired. That's how J. Drew became inspired. That's how Twinkie became inspired. Now, that's a whole nother story right there. Because Twinkie walked around with that big old Bible in her hand, studying the scripture because her mother had convinced her that the only way you can write a song is you had to have scripture. And so she walked around with the Bible, and she had that. Wait, I got to show y'all. Hold on for a minute.
You know you're getting a story when they leave the seat and come back.
Look, she had a Bible in her hand. Look, she would say, I can't play with y'all today. Y'all going out there. We'll be outside playing. She would say, I can't do it today. I got to read the scripture. I got to read the scripture because God gave me another song. Now, how would it be? Why would it be that the Lord didn't give me no song? Because I didn't walk around with the Bible. More song than I did. So you see what I'm saying? You just got to know your stuff. You got to know what God done found you and gave you. And if you don't know that, then you're going to miss out on everything God has for you. But she would not do anything that we did if she couldn't have time to read the Bible and know the scripture. And then she would make us come and sit with her and listen to it. She would say, I remember when she wrote You About the Sunshine. And she said, okay, I got a new song for y'all. And see, she loved Stevie Wonder. So she would listen to Stevie Wonder. And she came and she said, Mama ain't gonna like it, but we're gonna do it anyway. So she taught us a song. We said, we don't like that. And she had this reggae song, beat to it. And we knew that, my mother wouldn't like it. And when my mother heard it, my mother said, what is that you playing, girl? And she said, Mom, this is new. Just this way. I'm not finished with it yet. The Lord's still giving me some more words. And that's how she was able to complete the song. Okay. So when she did it, we began to sing the song. The irony of the whole song, though, was that the song was out for 2 years. Nobody on the gospel station would play the song. Nobody. You know, the Sunshine was 2 years old when it became a hit. Because nobody in the gospel field, in the gospel radio, would play our song. But Frankie Crocker.
All right.
Chief Rocker.
Came in late one day. He was late. Now, Quinn, you should know what I'm talking about. Frankie came in, and Frankie said he was late, and he saw our album laying on the thing from the guy he was following. And he said, well, they say You Brought the Sunshine. That must be their hit. And he played it, and the rest is history.
Wow. I never knew that story.
That's how the song got. Wow. That song became history, was because of Frankie Crocker. Wow. He played it, and he ended up having to play it 25 times before he went off the air.
Oh my goodness. I never knew that story.
That's how that song came
out. Chief Rocker, the Dean of Black Radio.
So good.
Yeah, he was. Frankie Crocker. And it was so funny because Frankie had another promoter who wanted to have us come. And he called my mom and said, listen, we want them to come and sing it in our club. Studio 54, I think it is in New York. He said, we want them to come sing in our club. My mother said, my girls don't sing in no club. She said, now you run a church and I'll send my girls to sing for you. but they're not coming to sing in your nightclub. And that's exactly what he did. Frankie Crocker helped him. And that's how my mother brought the Clark-Chisholms to New York. When You Brought the Sunshine came out, that's when we went to do the interview on, I'm not sure the call letter, but that was the show that Wendy was on. And Wendy was going to ask us questions. Yes. And that was how we went on. We came there to do the show, and we went on that show where Wendy Williams was interning, and that's how we met Wendy Williams.
You said Wendy Williams interned. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm saying nobody.
Oh, thank you for that history lesson. Oh my God.
Come on now.
I mean, that's how it happened. I mean,
see, so stories. We've got, for those who are still hanging around, which I know you are, because this is getting so good.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I do try to be mindful all the time, especially yours, y'all. But stories, I'm just gonna say go. I'm gonna shut up, and I just want them. I don't care what order y'all go in. Just somebody give me something. I love that. Thank you so much, Jacky.
No problem.
Great.
Well, I'll give you a story. I used to travel around the world with my daddy. My job was to do his hair. Ha ha ha. That was a special thing. Now you don't just sit down and do hair like we ladies do hair. It's a certain kind of way you roll that thing.
There you go. There you go, girl.
So I had to learn. But doing his hair actually was probably the best life's teachings of me, being out on the road with him. I mean, I went to college, I did all of that, but I sat there and my dad would be on the phone, getting his hair done, eating his cornflakes and bananas, getting his hair done, but he'd be on the phone, big business. He'd be talking to people all over the world, handling business while he get his hair done. Yeah. But I remember being in LA with him one time, and we were in South Central Los Angeles, and the sidewalks in Los Angeles are really wide, and we were in a long white stretch limousine, and he all of a sudden told the driver, he said, stop the car. And the driver stopped the car, and he started to get out. So security guards, they jump out with him and everything because they're trying to figure out, what is he doing? And he looked around, he looked back at me and said, Deanna, come here. I want to show you something. I said, all right. I got out the car and I started walking across the street with him. As we were walking across the street, there were a lot, just so many homeless people that were on the ground, sleep, laying on cardboard, dirty blankets, whatever they could just lay their head on. And he started, but first of all, when you saw their heads raise up and gaze their eyes on James Brown, you would have thought they looked like they were looking at a ghost, because they could not believe that they were looking at James Brown walking across the street from his limousine towards them. Leaving the security guards. We were walking, and he started giving out money, and he told one young fella, he said, young man, I want you to take this money and I want you to go get something to eat, clean yourself up, go do something for yourself. And what I learned in that moment, it was not about them coins, about them dollars that he was giving out. It was not about that.
Right.
It was about the hope that he was giving those people. That looked like a moment of his time.
Oh, Jesus.
Them the money so they can go feed themselves, so they can go wash. Because see, my dad never forgot where he came from. He used to tell me all the time.
Never.
You'll never understand my life. Never. Because you're born in all this. And he was right. I would never understand what he went through.
Right.
Because I was born into everything already ready and done. So when I saw that stuck with me. And every time I do interviews, I talk about it, because it wasn't no cameras. It wasn't no social media. It wasn't post this so they could see what I'm doing. It wasn't on the news. Don't nobody know about it.
That's right.
Nobody know about it.
But we did read Jet magazine, though, Deanna. We kept up with Jet to keep up with what your daddy, what jet he was buying, what radio station. what businesses. I salute your father, not just as a great Black music and a music pioneer, but as an American entrepreneur, a self-taught businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Wharton, didn't go to, any of those business schools, but he had business acumen from common sense and ability. And he invested his money into the community. He employed other Black folks and families. And so for that, we must always acknowledge your father as a businessman.
Absolutely.
Success story.
Absolutely. And a man who crossed over before we were using the term crossover.
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 Geez, right.
The most sampled songwriter in music history.
That's right.
Significant. And that's part of why we celebrate Black Music Month.
That's very true.
Now, Miss Gwendolyn.
I have a story.
Yes, because that's what I wanted to go.
No, I have a lot of stories, but as a publicist, I don't share most. But I will share the story about Aretha. And it was just what Deanna was saying about the real lesson in this story. Aretha, a lot of people know that she didn't travel by airplane. So she for decades, she didn't go to Europe. She turned down millions, not traveling around the world. So she had not gone to LA in 21 years. It was her return to Los Angeles in 21 years. I can't remember what year it was. But so of course, everyone was calling and wanted to do an interview. So journalist Rob Hilburn had called, he had been interviewing her over the years, but of course he wanted to do a sit down. He wanted to do a big story. And she had told me a couple of people to get in contact with. She said, I want you to get in contact with the LA Sentinel. And it was like a lot of Black press, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll get to them. So I was talking to Rob Hilburn every day. And I said, Aretha, Rob Hilburn, he said that he hadn't interviewed you, he hasn't interviewed you in person in over 20 years. He's been covering all your records, all your events. And I said, he would like to do an interview before you come to LA. And she said, well, no, I don't have time, I'll see Bob when I get there and I'll do something with him, but I can't do anything prior to that. I've got to iron, I've got to pack. She said, I will be 5 days on the tour bus, And she said, but what's happening with the LA Sentinel?
All right.
Okay. And so now I couldn't tell her that the LA Sentinel hadn't called me back yet. That wasn't going to be the story to tell her. So I said, okay, well, we're going to get in contact with the LA Sentinel. I said, but Aretha, this is Robert Hilburn. It's the calendar section of the Los Angeles Times. It's, almost 500,000 people. She said, I don't care if it's 5 million people. Okay. She said, I said, and I said, the LA Sentinel is like 50,000, viewership. She said, those are 50,000 people that love me.
Come on.
And she said, get the interview done, Gwen. She said, tell Bob Hilburn, I'll see him when I get to Los Angeles. And it just taught me, I learned so many lessons from her about publicity, but it just taught me like what artists during that time had to do. They always honored the Black press. We don't see that a lot today. Most artists today, they want to be in People magazine, they want to be in Time, Newsweek. And Aretha was always like, what is Jet going to cover? What is Ebony going to cover? And she always, every time she was in town, she always did the Black press, always the Black weeklies. And she told me, she said, listen, when no one else wanted to cover Black artists,
Right.
she said they were always there, and she will always do an interview with the Black press. And it's just like, I wish more artists today had that thought process. They don't care about doing Black weeklies. They don't. Just,
Right.
they don't, and so that was a lesson that I always still, stuck with me with Aretha. And I think is an important lesson. And yeah, that was the story. That was one of many, but yeah.
That's
amazing.
I think
David, you might be. I think everyone's giving me a little bit of a story, David.
Come on, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, but and then I'm gonna ask y'all the questions there's a few questions I've got, and then we'll, I don't want to, but we'll.
I'm going to go a little bit sideways because hopefully there's some young people who are listening here, and I'm in education and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to do something that's a little personal. And my drives my kids crazy, but I'm the dad, so it doesn't matter.
That's right.
My middle child drove us crazy when we were raising him. And he was a person who just kind of wanted to do things his own way. So much to the point that at some point he actually was kicked out of the house, and at some point was homeless. And when Deanna was talking about that, it sort of reminded me of that. It was actually the toughest couple of years in my wife and I's life, to have a son who was homeless. So I never thought this could never happen to us. And then at some point, he decided that he did not want to live like that. And the one thing that kept him, I guess, from going insane, as it were, his connection to sanity was every week he would come to our church and rehearse with the youth choir. He was a drummer. Couldn't get him to sing, but he would play drums with the youth choir. And I say all of this to say that you young people, you are powerful beyond what you know if you decide that you want to make a change in your life. Make right decisions, decide what you want to do, and seek out people who are there to help you. They are there. I'm going to turn my camera a little bit. My son is now, you see in that background there, there's an Emmy Award sitting there. My son is an Emmy Award winning audio engineer.
Wow.
And he decided that he wanted, and he's a great dad of two young boys. And look, I'm proud of all three of them. But I wanted to use that story as, you can do this. Don't wait for somebody in Washington, D.C. to come give you a grant to, fix yourself. You've got it within you. You've got it within you, and no one does it all by themselves. But make the decision to align yourself with people who are like-minded and are thinking in the right way. And so I'm learning every day from my children, and that one in the middle who drove us crazy when he was a kid, he is making up for it as an adult.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That
So
is
let me
beautiful.
ask a couple. That was beautiful. I'm going to ask a couple questions from the audience. And again, I like to kind of give folks a little head start, especially if it's a question. I did a podcast last night with my friend Charles Lamont Gardner. His podcast is called Moments. And I mean, he started with who is Heather Beverly? I just feel like you get these questions like, oh, you try to make me go there. So I'm going to give you all some audience questions while you ponder on my final question, which is, what do you want your individual musical or music career or music inspiration? What do you want your music legacy to be? Now, before we do that, Batman says, J. Drew, are you open to training up younger up and coming producers in the future?
Yes, absolutely. That's a part of what we do here at KaRew, is train up people and just continue to pour into people and provide as much information and knowledge, to individuals. That's what it's all about. And not only am I trying to make it a type of label to where, it's work for hire or, what I'm saying, all of that stuff. My main thing is for people to come work at this company, this particular company, and learn or leave with knowing something that they didn't have before they came. That's what we're all about. And, just being a student, that's what I'm all about, and the crazy thing is I do a lot of people been asking me, to mentor. I'm like, who am I to be mentoring? I'm still learning myself. I want to learn from most of before I start teaching people. And it's funny that I'm doing this and I appreciate you for this opportunity, Miss Heather, because you pulled me out of my shell. I know my team, they know like Drew don't like to do interviews and he don't like to
That's
be.
why he thought you were leaving 45 minutes in. I was
I know I tried it, but I said, ain't no way in the world I'm leaving this stuff. Right. But, I kind of like to stay behind the scenes and just continue to learn. But I do put the pressure on my peers. I say, listen, y'all like to be on Instagram all day. Y'all like to, be on Twitter and Facebook, and y'all like to gossip and be in other people's business. We got to start becoming responsible individuals and millennials and actually sit down and put it in that work. So half of the time, like you said, it do. Some are, like you said, Mr. Davis, sometimes we do be rebellious or we be hard-headed. And sometimes we want to, be involved in these other things. But at the same time, at some point in time, we're going to have to sit our tails down and listen and learn, So, even with us going through this whole, pandemic thing, I even expressed to a lot of my peers, like, listen, this is an opportunity for you to be able to take advantage of it, having time to yourself and being locked in the house, read your books, you know what I'm saying? Meditate. I stay on a lot of people about meditating, like, and not all being caught up in the phones and stuff too much. You gotta, and I know they like, man, you 30, like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you one of us, how you gonna tell us to stay away from the phones? I'm like, well, these are some of the things that you have to do to become great. Yeah. So, I just want to encourage this and just take this opportunity for all of the other viewers and my man, Batman, you say his name is. I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a little advice now, man. Put in the work. And, if I don't come in contact with you and get the opportunity to train you in person, listen, I can tell you, leave you with this. Put in that work, read your books, dive into Google who all of these people is on the panel, and you'll get enough information or get inspired off of that. And just continue to listen to music, continue to, just keep educating yourself, really dig down into those old records. Like it's nowhere in the world I could have accomplished this most recent Clark-Chisholm project without listening to all of the records that came out when I was in my mama's stomach. Literally some of these records I was in, they were pregnant with us, me and my cousins and stuff. So even if you go back further than that, because the Clark-Chisholms got records that's on YouTube. When they was like, well, my mom was the youngest. She was probably like 14, and she sound like a 14-year-old singing, with her sister. So
don't say that about my sister.
Well, yes, by all means, just do your research, continue to get better, pour into yourself, take time away from social media, just take a break. We're not telling you to just delete your account. Just take a day to just listen to music all day, and I guarantee you will start developing your own sound, and you will notice the improvement.
And in the vein of that, Carrie Foster asks the question to Mr. David Sears and Jay Drew. Let me pull this question over here. Number one, our SMAC conference is coming back. Oh, that was Batman. Let me go back. That was from Miss Jacky. I'm going back to Miss Foster.
We are.
The question, she said, we are. The question to Mr. David Sears and Jay Drew, when learning an instrument, what was your practice time like?
Well, I started on trombone, and I didn't really have any intention of being in the music business or being a musician. So I just practiced enough when I was in middle school and high school just to be good enough to be good in the band. Once I got to college and changed my major to music, it then became serious because I found out I was way behind everybody. So it was not unusual for me to practice 3 or 4 hours every day. And that's...
So what instruments do you play, David? Let them know.
I play trombone. And that's the one I was classically trained on, and but I began playing keyboards when I was in college, and probably half the gigs that I've played at least were on keyboards and the other half on my horn. But that's I mean, it's, you have to put in the time. It's like being an athlete, because you have to train those muscles, and you have to you have to get that muscle memory happening.
That's very true. That's very true. That's the same thing that with us. Like my mom, if the Lord had given her a song, I mean, it could be 3 o'clock in the morning and we got to get up at 6. She would wake us up and say, no, the Lord gave me this song, because back then she didn't have, she couldn't afford no recorder. So we was the recorder. And so all she needed to do was to hear it. So she would put the parts together. We sleep in our nightgown. What you saw in the movie is so true. When she would make us sing it. And then when we came home from school, we sang it some more. And every time we sang it, then we would go to the choir, and in choir rehearsal, I sang alto, Dorinda and I sang alto, Karen sang tenor, soprano, and my mother would make us be in the lead, and we taught the sections the part they needed to sing. So if you don't put the time in, you're not gonna have nothing. You gotta put the time in. That just goes without saying. It's like David says, athlete. You got to build. You got to build the muscle in order to be great at what you're doing. If you don't want to build it, you're not gonna have nothing, or you're gonna be halfway, or you're gonna be a one-hit wonder. How you like it?
And you need to practice every single day.
Every day.
Every day.
And I would say
with the word.
Just
all right.
Just to kind of add on it and just speak to my millennials, or the younger generation. I will say that though we do have this, I don't want to say addiction, but we do have this addiction to social media. You can still invest in yourself through social media. So me, for example, like as I just told Miss Deanna, I was just watching all of James Brown's videos on YouTube. So you know what I'm saying? You can also be practicing and exercising your way of learning by watching videos of people doing stuff. Like literally, I've learned how to do a whole lot of handiwork that I never was into building stuff and assembling stuff, but I went on YouTube and just literally watched them and watched it for hours until I got it. And the technology is actually, it's a gift and it's a curse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a curse and it's a gift. Let me say it the other way. The gift part is that the gift in it is that you actually get to see somebody teach you how to do it. They have YouTube videos that teach you how to do all types of exercises, that teach you how to run businesses, that teach you how to build stuff, that teach you how to just even have the mental capacity. And that's what I'm built big on. And that's what I'm teaching here at KaRew, or kind of molding my peers up in KaRew, is to being able to have that mental capacity to be able to handle all this stuff, because we all see these people doing all these things, but if you don't have it up here, you're never going to get anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think you should most definitely watch YouTube videos, follow the right people, stop following your friends that's just up there voicing their opinion and always want to post a clip of them in the club or drinking. That's not going to get you nowhere. You need to follow people. I'm sorry, Auntie.
But you're right. You're right.
You're right, babe.
But follow people that'll make you better and that'll elevate you to become a better musician, songwriter, publicist, lawyer, producer, songwriter, whatever you want to be.
Love it. All right. In these last couple minutes, I just want, obviously, to thank you guys. This has been, for me, like I am just jumping around inside. This series was born from, I keep saying, was born from necessity, not enterprise. And I am so grateful to have friends like you, colleagues like you, mentors like you, who can join a discussion that will not only are we presenting it here, but it will live live on our portal on soulreciprocity.com. But this is it's just beyond. And I know that you guys are a gift to everyone who can hear this, and even everyone who can't, because the impact you have each had on our industry and will continue to is immeasurable and so important. So I thank you. So with that, just give me a line or two, if you can, of, what do you want your music legacy to be? And Deanna, you're last, so just sit back, honey.
So which one?
Which Deanna?
Right? Exactly. Ms.
David.
Mother of
Okay.
June Black Music Month,
So,
Ms. Williams, you'll be last.
Okay, well, we'll
Otherwise,
this
you can
Deanna,
jump in as you'd like.
Deanna will kick it off, and that Deanna
Yes,
will end it up.
bookend it.
I would like for my personal legacy to be that I took what my father gave me and taught me and put it into future generations. I literally want my own building. Well, I don't say my own building. I just want a brick and mortar that says James Brown Academy of Music. So that children will have a safe haven to go in and learn all the way until the Lord come back.
Love it.
love it. Well, I really, and I'm like Deanna, I just want to be a pillar or a person who can help just by the wisdom and the things that we have gone through and the things that we have learned, and to continue with our conference that we have called Seniors and Musicians Arts Conference. I really enjoy doing that. That's how I wrote my book on your personal persona. I really literally want to do whatever I can, to encourage every person who even feel like they think they might have a gift. I don't care what the gift is, whatever it is that I can do to help. I really want to be a person who can pour in, as Jay Drew said, who can pour in and enlighten, inspire, or just entreat somebody to know that they have the gift. But you got to be able to know where you best fit with your own gift. So that's really what I would like to do.
Nice.
Oh, Gwendolyn. Okay, I would just like to do a couple of documentaries or film projects to sort of share what I have learned over the years and to honor a lot of the people that I've worked with, a lot of the recording artists. I worked with a lot of major people in my career, and the VIPs and the executives. I would like to leave maybe one or two documentaries or television projects in honor of that and honor of Black music. Yeah.
Love it. Beautiful. David?
Well, I guess I want my legacy to be the students that I've taught that have kept music in their lives, either as an audience member or as professionals who are playing today. And of course, my children, and that they and others understand that despite all of the many flaws that I have, you can still have a fulfilling, successful life.
Amen.
Love it.
Amen.
Hey, Drew?
Yes. I want my legacy to be obviously a CEO, a president of organization or anything of many organizations, just that consists of empowering young people, rather if it's a record label, rather if it's me opening up businesses. I just want to be the one that empower a group of people and, just make other people successful. I just love that. I would love to sit behind the scenes. I would love to be the person that make people successful opposed to being the person that's successful, if you will, if that makes any sense. And that's the legacy I want
That's
to have.
beautiful.
That's beautiful. All right, Queen.
I would like to say thank you again for having us all. I've learned so much. I've been invigorated by the stories that Deanna and Ms. Jacky shared, and David. That was very, I have a middle child as well. I have 3 children, and I really related to your story because I had a similar situation with my middle child. But I want to thank you all for your encouragement. My legacy lives in the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville. My legacy lives in each of you that love, appreciate, have been consoled and lifted by Black music. my legacy is to continue to use my life force and my voice and energy to highlight and support organizations like the Blues Foundation, where Gwen is sitting on, where I've donated. I just made a donation to your foundation as well, Deanna. And, you know, where we support one another and we spread the word about the majesty, the magic, the power, the beauty and influence that is Black music. That is my legacy. That is where my voice and my life force lives.
Thank you.
Amen. All right.
And I'd like to encourage people to go to
Heather.
blackmusic.com or .org and support with a membership, give a gift. You're struggling to figure out a gift to give to somebody that is unique, give them the gift, as Jay was saying, of knowledge
Yes.
of ourselves, a knowledge of who we are, where we've been, where we are, and living in you, Drew.
That's a great gift.
Yeah.
That's a great gift, Deanna.
It is.
Yeah.
Heather, I
That's
just
big.
want to say to you, thank you so much for doing this today. This really needs to be a documentary that is put on TV so people can see it. This was so wonderful tonight. I enjoyed everybody that was on tonight. David, shoot. I want you to know, David, that you so inspired me tonight, even with your words of encouragement about your son, because a lot of times children get caught up in things, but the good thing about it is he showed you that his gift was going to make room for him, and it did.
Exactly.
Heather, I just want to tell you thank you so much, because I've enjoyed this probably more than y'all have. Thank you.
Heather. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather. This is
Thank
amazing.
you, Heather. Yeah, thank
do a
you.
wonderful,
And better
wonderful
audience.
job. Thank you.
To the
And
other-
I am available to all of these on the panel here. You know, whatever I can do to help further what you're doing, you know, please holler at a sister. I got you.
I will, Sister Brown Thomas. I will holler at you and Dave.
Well, as we do this virtual group hug, everybody, I just want to thank all of you.
Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever.
I want to thank all of you who joined, tuned in. We will be editing this episode. It will be on the portal so you can tell all your friends who missed it, what they missed, and that they can still check it out again on soulreciprocitynetwork.com. On behalf of my amazing producers, Adrian Shelby, on behalf of my entire Soul Reciprocity Network family, CJ and Brandon and Jeremy and Tonda and Cornell, everyone, thank you. My name is Heather Beverly. This is the Soul Reciprocity Network web series focused on faith. And please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Soul Reciprocity Network, where you'll find the show schedule, past episodes, and our Soul Reciprocity Network YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, to thine own self be true.
Amen.
Yes.
Peace. Peace.
God bless. God bless.
David, take care. Gwen.
Hi, David.
Okay, bye-bye.
Deanna.
Bye-bye.
I feel good.
Feel good. Yes, yes. Like I knew I would.